up. Now, in terms of the performance, actually, before I get to the performance of software, this is probably one of the best assets of this phone. It's running Oxygen OS, and up until I think the Android 11 betas came out, it was probably my favorite version of Android. But now it's looking like they're starting to skin it a little bit more, and I'm not really a huge fan of that, to be completely honest. I really hope they don't go down that road. I hope this is temporary, and I hope with like Oxygen OS 11.5 or whatever the next version they're going to come out with, I hope it is a little bit of a cleaner version of Android, more than what it is with Android 11. With Oxygen OS 11, they kind of took a step backwards, taking, cues from like One UI and stuff, and I'm not really a fan of that. So I hope they don't do it, but they kind of already did, so I guess we'll see what happens. But in terms of software, this phone, I think is probably going to get like another version or two of Android, which is really good. I mean, this thing just came out last year, even though we have like two more generations of phone after this. Actually, technically three, because we have the 7T series, we have the 8, and now we have the 8T series. So this thing is like 3 generations behind, but it's still going to be lasting for many, many more years, and it still has custom ROM support and all that. So this phone is not going anywhere anytime soon, which is a really, really good thing. So in terms of software, that pretty much covers it up. Now we get to hit on the performance right now. This thing has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset, an octa-core CPU, and 3 different models. So this thing had the base 6GB model, had that mid-tier 8GB model, then it had that top-tier 12GB model. And what I can definitely tell you is the performance side of this phone is really enhanced by the software, because it doesn't have a lot of moving pieces all over the place. And with that 90Hz refresh rate, and with the smoothness of this phone, it really just made it such a smooth experience. And even now when I go and pick it up and do things with it, I feel like it's just such a smoother device than what it really should be, in my opinion. Now, it definitely isn't the fastest when I've compared it to the OnePlus 8, the OnePlus 7 Pro, the OnePlus 8T, and what I can definitely tell you was even there, it held up for sure. It definitely wasn't faster, but it was smooth. It was just a little bit slower here and there, and it's still, even into the later part of 2020, it's still a very fast phone for the most part. I feel like for really anything you're going to do with it, it's going to be able to handle those tasks. Now, is it going to be the best performing phone? Is it going to be able to, rival a Galaxy S20 or, the Galaxy S21 or OnePlus 8T? No, yes and no. I would say if you're not comparing them side by side, you probably wouldn't be able to notice those many differences. Really, anything I ever did with the 7 Pro, it was able to do it just fine. Heavy intensive games, comparisons, when I was, booting up games from one this app to the other, like, it was totally fine in my opinion. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. It still has a lot of, hiccups here and there. But I think if you're just the average user, you're going to be perfectly fine with something like a OnePlus 7 Pro, in my opinion. So in terms of performance, I'll definitely say it gets a thumbs up. Definitely not perfect and definitely not the best. But whenever I compared it to any of my other phones, especially the 2020 lineup of phones, it was really a decent experience for sure. So in terms of performance, that pretty much covers it up. Now,